Fellow Toastmastered and honored guests, this meeting for online presenters is beginning right now. Guests, please note that in order to be a member of the club, you must be a current or a former active member of Toastmasters International, and you should have completed at least 6 official Toastmaster speeches. If you have had substantial relevant presentation experience, however, you may apply for membership after demonstrating your abilities with a 2 to 3 minute speech delivered during one of our club meetings. All requests for membership are subject to approval by the members of our club. If you have not already done so, please change your panel to ensure it shows your name and role if you have one. Right-click and simply rename to do so. We have members and guests from many countries throughout the world. Thus, as a professional organization, we do ask that you be aware of your language and word usage that might be offensive or otherwise insensitive due to cultural differences. Please note that we are recording the meeting and your video and audio contribution may be used for club marketing purposes. Also, please mute your microphone when you are not speaking. With that, please join me in welcoming our club president, DTM Lewis Brown.
I don't think he's here today. I believe you're, Andrew, I believe you're up.
Andrew, you're on mute.
On behalf of Lewis, who's president of the club, I'm the VPE, so I'm second in command. And I wanted to welcome all of our guests. We're going to reach out and learn more about each of you during the course of the meeting and at the end at the after party. We are conducting some business at the very, very beginning. And in order to get that accomplished, it has to do with our finances. And I want to introduce you to our club's treasurer, Pam Benjamin. And I will give her the opportunity to speak and inform everybody of what's going on with club finances. Go ahead, Pam.
Good afternoon, online presenters and guests. I am here to present the budget for next year. I worked with David and I did a spreadsheet on last year's budget, on last year's expenses, income expenses. Last year, we had a starting balance of 209. At the end of the Toastmaster year, we had $827. So that came from Stripe payments, PayPal donation, VTM. These were our expenses. We had VTM expenses and we had VTM income. We had Toastmasters. We had money from Stripe, and then we paid Toastmasters for the memberships. We had Zoom fees that were taken care of, and we had website fees that were taken care of, which left us at $827.36 at the end of the Toastmaster year, which would have been July 1st. This is our proposal for the coming year. Balance bought forward is $827.36. And here I assumed 50 people in the club. If each year, each Toastmaster year, each person who's a member of our club will make 2 payments. And that payment is $55 for each 6-month period. So hence, each one person in our club is equal to 2 payments. So I multiplied 55 times 100, and that would be our income for the year. With that 55, we would pay Toastmasters International 45. So with the 100 payments, then it's 45 times 100, so 4,500. With that comes the transaction fees from Stripe, and there was a few that came through PayPal. So it was about 220, 230. So I put 250 here. Zoom, we've paid for Zoom 155. I put that 155 in there. Contest, we've given gifts to contest fees, and it would be, each contest would be a little under $50. So we thought that most years we would have 4 contests. We don't have that totally locked down exactly how many contests, but if I'm planning on 4 contests, $200. Honorariums is how much we would spend on speakers coming in. Honorarium means we would give a donation to their favorite charity per Toastmasters requirements. We would not give more than $25, and it would go toward their favorite charity. And that is $100. So we would be able, that's a budget of 4 speakers for the year. We talked about having officer gifts, different people who have put in a year's worth of service, a $10, $12 gift certificate or something like that. Technology, this is where we come to something totally new with online presenters. Because when we keep 50 people for another year, we would have an income well over $800. So as online presenters, the best way to manage this is to think about what ways can we use the money that we've made last year and the money that we plan on making this next year to better ourselves as individuals and a club. But that's what our officers have been thinking about. How can we strengthen our members as speakers? This budget line item here, technology, would be used to help us get different technology for speaking. One we were looking at is Prezi. There's other different, Miro. We don't have those specifics lined up. We were talking about it in the officer meeting, and we would need a technology group to make suggestions on what we could do. Now, one of the ones that's most popular that I've talked about in different Toastmasters Club is Prezi. Prezi is $15 a month for a fee. If they've got other different ones. If we went in there as an educational one, and that would be a different fee, but we would pay a whole year for 60. So there's a lot of different options. We could get Prezi for 3 months and then take a break. And so if ever all the members get to try it, we don't have a specific plan of which technologies we would want to use or how long we would use them. We would need a committee to make recommendations, and we would take it slowly. We're thinking right now that this would be used as a library system. So if we have technology owned by the club, someone in the club could use Prezi for their presentation. Now, if you want to check out Prezi for a week and you're going to use it 3 times during that week, then if you shared it with another person for that week, then you're not overlapping. And there's a lot of different ways we can do that with a library system of technology, and how that exactly works, and then being able to use it for presentations. That's something we haven't really gone into depth with. We would like to look into that further. Online presenters website, David's website, which Toastmost, is now $50, and we wanted to get the premium service because David does so much customization for online presenters that if anyone purchases a web hosted system, they know it's well over $100. So we want to we want to take care of David because he's done so much for the website that we use, WordPress. And as far as the technology budget goes, we can even use some of that with different ways to accelerate the website, the online presenter. So there's so much more that we could do on the website. There's so much more we could do with presenting software. One thing we learned with VTM is that people were really, really excited about technology tools. They really liked hearing the speakers, but when we talked about tech tips, we got such a reaction that was so positive, so incredibly positive. People wanted to learn. And the thing with technology is it get kind of expensive when you're doing it all on your own. But if you're in a group environment, the cost is much less. So if we're looking at 400 for that line item, don't really have a plan exactly how to do it. We would love input from different people on how they would like to use it and how they might like to try it. Our next line item is public relations. We have never paid for advertising on any platform yet. And I know when we were working with VTM, we were constantly getting these things from Facebook, spend $25 and then you can get a much wider audience. Is that a good option? Is that a good idea? We don't really know. But we would like to try a few things to see if we can hit a target market, specifically speakers who want to get much better at public speaking. So a better market might be LinkedIn with different keywords. So we're looking to try baby steps on how we can get better as a club. We're not looking to spend a lot of money on one thing. We're just looking to learn. How do we get better as a club? How do we get stronger? And how do we help our members? Primarily, this is about the members getting stronger. The next line item is the loyalty rebate. Now, as I talked about at the very beginning, each person is considered 2 payments for a full Toastmaster year. If I'm a Toastmaster and online presenters, I make 2 payments, one for fall and one for spring, and that covers the entire year. So I'm seen as one person as 2 payments. Now, if we as the board talked about giving an option of an annual subscription to online presenters. What that would be, so if I'm a member for a year at online presenters, and if I go with the 6 month, what I'm doing is I'm paying 45 and 10, 45 and 10. Okay, 45.10 is 55, 45.10 is 55. If you went with the loyalty annual plan, it would be 45, 45.10. 45, 45.10. So you're saving $10, and we are rewarding your loyalty with a reduction in club dues of $10. So if you go with the 6 month and 6 month, it's 45 and 10, 45 and 10. If you go with the full year, it's 45, 45 and 10. So you'll see a difference of just $10, 110 versus 100. We're not changing what we pay to Toastmasters International. We're just reducing the club dues by $10. Now, if 25 people did that, that would be 25 times 10, and it would reduce our budget by $250. Okay, so this income here is based on 50 payments, 50 people making 2 payments a year, and that would be $5,500. Now, it's just a proposal. We don't know what's going to happen, but for us to be able to do these things throughout the year, we need the club's approval on the line items. So we've thought about every single thing that might make the club better and might make it stronger, and then how to go forward. So now I'd like to open the floor for questions. So who can take questions for me in chat? And who can, Nick, you want to take questions from me in chat? Okay, and then look for people to ask questions. So if you want to find a person to ask a question, and then I'll field that question. Any questions on this or last year's?
Andre,
Pamela, thank you very much for your presentation. It's quite thorough. I really understand the points that you're coming from. The way I see the budget working, that club should be able to gain more money, not less. One of the items I would like to question is about $10 loyalty rebate for 25 members. I understand that members come here for the value they're getting from the advanced club. And at the same time, I'm not sure whether it's a positive in terms of club budget, giving away money to people who really gain so much from this club. Whether it's a valid or valuable expense. I'm not quite sure about that.
Anyone else?
Pamela, would you like me to take?
If you could talk,
Andre's
if you want
question?
to talk about that, sure.
Okay, so just for everybody's information, I'm actually not only immediate past president, but also I'm assisting. I guess I'm an assistant treasurer this year with working with Pamela. One of the things about this particular item is that when we last year we weren't able to do this because we didn't have enough money in the kitty. But one of the keys for me and one of the keys that for me in a club is, how do you work with your members? How do you reward them? Well, one of the things is help them get better. So Pamela's addressed that with the technology and with the PR and so on, but also reward your members for their loyalty, which means, you know, there's two things to this. First of all, we have a number of long-term members, and many of you are here today. So you are going to renew. We know that. I know I'm going to renew, even though it's middle of the night for me. So it just makes it easier for me as an individual to pay $100 a year, but also it's easier for the officers to collect one payment rather than two over the course of the year. It saves an awful lot of time. And I personally would rather have the officers focusing on how else they can work with their members rather than going to the admin of collecting fees twice a year. Those are two of the reasons, Andre, why I think it's really important that we do this, because ultimately we do this for our members. Unless, of course, you've got something else that you want to suggest, which is great. But this is, we are doing things for the members in other ways, as well as rewarding them with a decreased in dues. And also, I was the president where we actually increased the dues a little bit last year, and hence we got up to the $827. So there was a lot of hard work went on last year to enable this year's board to be able to give some of this back in a number of different ways to you.
One of the things about this budget is that because we're doing so well after last year, that if we don't spend some of this money, the balance is going to go up. It's going to go up several $100s. And Toastmaster International doesn't really recommend having a lot more than $1,000 or really even like $800 in there. So it's just troublesome. It's just not good to have that much in there. So we do have so much value. And I think a big part of it is we have so many members that are so strong. So because we are a strong club, we're trying to find ways that we be really beneficial to all the members. And so we would really like to hear your responses to some of these different things.
Do we have any other questions?
I would like to intervene. It's 8:04 p.m. Eastern time. We have a full agenda. I don't think that we necessarily have the time to really go into an in-depth conversation with Q&A. Otherwise, time is going to slip from us. And we have 3 speakers, table topics, 3 evaluators. And Pamela, would you be able to call for a vote, or at least table any questions for at the end of the meeting after we would stop the recording?
Lucas, what I would recommend at this point is we've only heard one person speak about one issue. If you looked at it as an agenda item, that would be looking to have a consent agenda with pulling out one item if there is a second. If anybody else has a concern about the discount to the membership, you would second the motion that this line item be pulled out for later discussion. Otherwise, the budget presented by Pam would go on a consent agenda. So what I would call for at this moment in time, is there a second concern backing up Andre in terms of the reduced fee for the $100 payment? Is there anyone that is also concerned about that? Okay. At
Add it
this,
to the chat, sir, Mr. Chair. Toastmaster Knight, adding her concern to the seconding Andre's motion.
okay, so we're going to pull that off the consent agenda, and that leaves the rest of the agenda moving forward for adoption. We do have a quorum for adoption, and then the item that's being concerned with and pulled out will be tabled until a later time when we have some time to discuss it further. All right. Everyone understand what we're voting on? So you're voting on the budget with that item removed and tabled from the consent agenda. Otherwise, it's a consent agenda of the items presented by Pam. All right. At this point,
So Andy, I want to be clear. So if we vote on this budget, this will be the budget for the year unless we have another budget vote and put that back in there.
correct. So
This is
that
the vote for the year.
right. So that line item that was a concern of Donna and Andre is pulled out of the budget, and the rest of the budget presented by you is on a consent agenda for approval.
Can I just ask Andy, can we not vote on that item? Because at the moment, 2 people have raised a concern, not the whole club.
You could do it that way too, but then they're concerned. The way that, if you think of this as an agenda item, if there is a specific agenda item that needed to be pulled out and separately handled, that's the way it would go.
Well, we're either going to, if we pass the budget today, we're not going to come back for an amendment to the budget, are we? So it's now or never, it really.
Right.
Is.
So we now have 23 people present right now,
Do we have
And-
quorum?
and we need a quorum is 14. So I am hearing that you would like to vote on the entire budget. And do we hear any objections to that? All right. Everyone that's in favor of approving the budget, please do a private message to Donna, who is the secretary. And please, everybody, make your stuff known so that Donna, know that those people that are listed as co-hosts or hosts will not be able to, we're not using the voting thing. So I believe we can send to you
If
the,
people can send the private message to Knight, please, K-N-I-G-H-T.
Right.
Thank you. Donna is our secretary, by the way.
yes, okay. So, and as soon as you have 14 messages that are in the affirmative, that's an approval, and let us know when that is. And it's already 2010. Toastmasters of the day may need to shorten their amount of items.
So we were voting with this proposed
Yes,
alteration
we're
of the dues included?
yes, everything is included.
Okay.
What, did you say that you took out the reduction, the
No. Nick's argument was that his belief was that the number of people approving the entire thing, even with that change, would overwhelm the objection and wanted to see it vote through. If the vote does not pass, then we can come back to this. So as it stands right now, we're voting on the entire package, including the vote for keeping that discount in. If it does not pass, we don't get 14 members approving of it, then we have to revisit it in a modified form, such as pulling out the discount. Donna, let me know when we've hit 14. And I did get a chat message saying if a person that was going to get a discount, choose to turn it down. And that is true. Individuals can choose to not accept it and turn it over to the club as a donation. Don, do we have enough people voting yet?
Yes, sir. Vote's still coming in, but so far I'm sending it in the chat. We are at voting in favor.
Okay, we hit 14.
It's the vote we count, but yes, we've hit 15. That's where we are at the moment.
Okay, so the motion passes and this item is ended. I'll only take 30 seconds to give you a VPE report. The BCP goals for our club is now at 3. We have needs in terms of 2 more members to get to a point or a goal for new members. We are looking at this medley, which is 5 new members by the end of September. And for those people starting up new pathways, be aware that we are looking for points or completions of level 1, 2, and 3. We have goals accomplished for level 4, 5 PTM times 2. So just to let you know about that. Currently, we have 58 members that are paid for until September 30th, but we need to have a lot more renewed. When I last did the count, we had 42% of people not having paid, and we need to have that taken care of before September 30th so that we can maintain everybody that we currently have. We had a number of people reach awards. I sent that out under a previous email. I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster of the day. And that today is Lucas. And we're now starting at 2013, so we'll have to be tight.
All right, thank you very much. The theme of today's meeting is, where are you from? And the word of the day is navigate. Navigate. Let's hear from our role players that are going to assist in making the meeting as smooth as possible. Let's hear from our timer. Go ahead, unmute. Let us know what you're going to do for us.
Good evening, everybody. I will be the timer today. I will be giving red, green, yellow, and red signals as follows. For our speakers, it will be green at 5 minutes, yellow at 6 minutes, and red at 7. The same thing we'll be holding for our evaluators and table topics at the appropriate times. Back to you, Lucas.
All right, thank you very much. Let's hear from our counter, Marty. Okay, I can. Okay,
I'm
you're ready.
here.
All right.
I found it. Thank you. As our counter, what I will do is try to record each time somebody uses a correct word like well, so, and so on and forth, etc., and so forth, as the King of Siam used to say. And at the end of the meeting, when called upon by our Toastmaster of the day, I will report what I've managed to do, which will probably not be very coherent because I'm not very good at I just got one of my own. I'm not very good at keeping up with everything at once. Back to you.
Thank you, Marty. Let's hear from our grammarian, Surya.
Delighted to join you all today. Toastmaster of the day, Lucas, fellow online presenters, and guest Evie. I am Surya Bengala, hailing from Central New Jersey, USA. I'll be reporting on the grammar usage tonight by speakers, evaluators, and all presenters. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from our chat monitor, Jim.
Yes, Mr. Toastmaster, in the interests of time as the chat monitor this evening, I will be monitoring the chat. Back to you.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and hear from our watcher, Angela.
Good evening, morning, afternoon, everyone. I will be watching you to see if you are doing anything that I need to report on. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much. And last but not least, our vote counter. Let us know what you're going to do for us. Mary Ruth.
Yes, I will be sending out links for you to vote for speaker, evaluator, and table topic master. Not table topic master, table topic speaker. So watch your chat.
All right, thank you very much. Let's begin with our prepared speeches. Our first speaker is working on the visionary communication path, level 3, increasing knowledge, making connections through networking, giving the speech titled, Creating a Fitness Group on Social Media. Please give a warm virtual welcome to distinguished Toastmaster Pamela Benjamin.
Hello, online presenting friends. Have you ever tried to make friends online in a social media group? Was it successful? Was it what you hoped for? Friends, I've worked on creating a team or a group of people for a very long time. I've tried a lot of different things. I created a fitness site, a fitness group on Facebook. I've created a fitness page. And it's slow going. It doesn't happen overnight. And the experience that I've had with it is that there's so many different types of fitness and so many different perspectives on what people actually want. So I thought to myself, if I really want to grow a group, then I need to get more specific about what I want instead of this generic term as fitness. So began my journey. I was coming out of the VTM, the second one that we did. I felt energetic and I thought to myself, I'm really going to work on this fitness group idea. And so I started. I thought to myself, what platform would I use? What could possibly be the best fitness group for me? I had tried network marketing many times, and it wasn't always really successful. It was kind of stop and go, stop and go. I had done some business marketing, and I had done some things in different networking groups and on Facebook. And I thought I really need to focus a lot more on who I need to look for and exactly what skills they work on. Now, I'm a triathlete. That means I am working on 3 different activities at once. And I also use the gym probably 3 times a week for strengthening. Now, it might seem that there's a lot of crossover in those things, but when you come to the fitness world, they are very different. You see, people think of themselves as a bodybuilder, or people think of themselves as a cardio person. And the two don't really ever meet. So creating a group that would all work together has been a bit of a challenge. So I thought about how I could make a group that would pull people together. And I thought I was in a group that was primarily triathletes. But the triathletes lived all across the country. And so we would talk in a group, but it was sporadic because they had different objectives and they were in different places, and we were all doing different races at different times. I grew frustrated. I really wanted a team atmosphere like I have in Toastmasters. How could I get that? That led me to going online and creating this next group. After I said, what is my why? What am I going to connect? How am I going to connect with people? I thought I would really like to connect a lot more with people in person and not just online, but with people. And that led me to start and look for my people. It became a lot of back and forth. How would I make this done? How would I make this happen? And I finally came up with a meetup group. I created the group Dallas Endurance Training Meetup Group. Now, this might seem a bit easy. I have had this group for probably 2 months now. I've had people sign up and I've had people that didn't come. But I noticed this happens a lot. This has been happening a lot in different clubs, in different groups. So I am trying to create a more focused groups. I'm having bike rides, I'm having runs, and I'm having swim events. Now, I think part of the problem was 95, 97 degrees, which was 34, 35 degrees Celsius. So maybe that was why I didn't have a big turnout. So I'm trying to be energetic. I'm trying to be positive, and I'm trying to say, I know I have a group of people and I'm going to create it locally so that I can actually do activities with people. And so that is where I'm at right now. It's been a really big project for me. And I feel like the Dallas Endurance Group is just starting with an idea that I've thought about for a long time. I've tried a lot of different things and I'm so excited, and I can't wait for the temperatures to cool so I can see if I can grow this group and have a networking group that supports each other in fitness. Thank you very much, online presenters.
Thank you, Pamela. Our next speaker is working on the Visionary Communication Path, Level 2, Learning Your Style, Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Our second speaker will speak about mentoring, the role of mentors, coaches, proteges, and her experiences. Her focus is to emphasize her potential in being a future Toastmasters mentor. Giving the speech titled, My Experience as a Protege, please welcome Tricia Smith.
Steven Spielberg has a quote for mentoring experience. It's not to create your protege as a copy of yourself, but to let them develop themselves. Toastmasters has had many years of experience providing opportunity and experience for their members with mentoring. Mentors provide guidance, resources. They're an example to other members to help them reach their goals. Mentors and proteges can have a good experience from mentoring. Greetings, fellow Toastmasters friends and guests. I'm Tricia Smith. I'm going to talk about the difference between coaching and mentoring, the role of mentors and proteges, how mentoring can benefit everyone, my experience, and why it's important. So why is mentoring important? Do you remember when you joined Toastmasters? There are basically 3 groups of Toastmasters: leaders, speakers, and socializers. Which one are you? Do you remember when you joined? Did you join to gain leadership skills and experience? Raise your hand. Did you join to gain speaking skills and experience? Raise your hand. How about networking and socializing? Raise your hand. All 3. Thank you. Let's talk about the difference between coaches and mentors. When we learn things, we go through training, some kind of training, maybe formal work or for our own personal growth. We learn specific skills to use for specific reasons for a specific period of time. Coaches focus on the short-term goals. They are enforcing the learning. Whereas mentors focus on long-term goals. They're going to enrich the experience. They want personal growth and relationship and rapport. Mentors are very dedicated people with lots of experience, professionals, expertise in their field. They share their experience, their knowledge, resources. They provide feedback to their mentees. They're caring. They ask questions so they get to know their mentee. What are their goals? How can they help them to achieve it? Very specific needs. The protege or the mentee needs to be open-minded. They are seeking guidance. They know what they want to achieve, but they don't know how. So they're going to be getting help and assistance from someone who has more experience. They have to be open-minded to receive positive feedback and use it to their advantage. They want to learn and grow. They're good communicators. Both the mentor and the mentee are committed to the partnership. They're good communicators. They're good listeners. They both have goals. They learn from each other. My experience as a protege. I've been a mentor outside of Toastmasters, and I've been a protege within Toastmasters and outside of Toastmasters. I've worked in 3 fields: dental, medical, and education, and for quite some time, online education in the medical career field. So I'm going to focus on my experience as a protege in education and Toastmasters. So I'll start with the current experience or recent experience. 2 years ago, I had a mentor with online presenters. Excellent, expert, professional person. I can't say enough good things about my mentor with online presenters. She was a great storyteller. That was my goal, to be a better storyteller and a better impromptu speaker. I still have those goals today, still working on it. Another experience I had with Toastmasters was with my corporate club through work. I've been with online presenters for almost 2 years, yay, and the corporate club for 1. There's a big difference. So with my mentoring with the corporate club, I learned more about the differences because I was familiar with Toastmasters and how they work. My other experiences were with education. When I was new to education as an on-site public school teacher, I was in a group setting, a group of new teachers taught by a group of mentors. It was a good experience, resources, shared resources, networking, socializing, good feedback. Another experience was when I started teaching online. However, it was a number of years ago, so we didn't have the face-to-face, we didn't have the visuals, the videos, we had phone, text, email. It was still good. Resources, feedback, good experience. Another experience was on-site teaching. This is where my first, as a new teacher, experience, I was paired with a teacher that had years of experience. Now, this is going to be an example of what not to do as a mentor. I learned from it, but that person was not a good resource, did not give me time, left me on my own, and was critical of my teaching in front of students. What not to do. I learned from it, so it's still an experience that I can talk about and share. In conclusion, I've talked about mentors versus proteges, how they work together as a partnership to learn from each other and grow, learn new ways of communicating, their experiences, their goals, perspectives, ideas. They learn from each other, so it's a shared experience. Are you an experienced Toastmaster? Do you have mentor experience? Would you like to mentor someone else? Are you a new member? Maybe you would like to be a part of the mentoring and have a mentor. I encourage you to do so you can have a good experience. You will not regret it, and I highly recommend it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia. Our third speaker is working on the PATH Presentation Mastery, Level 3, Increasing Knowledge Through Persuasive Speaking. As a writer and editor who works in the technology industry, our third speaker knows why strong passwords are important. He doesn't like it any more than you do. Giving the speech, "How much do you hate passwords?" Please welcome distinguished Toastmaster David Carr.
How much do you hate passwords? But of course, what I really mean is how much do you love passwords? Passwords are so much fun. I have this fun little guessing game that I play where I sign up for a new service, and it tells me my first password is too weak. It tells me my second password is too strong. My first password was too short, so I made it longer, but now I've used too many characters. My first password was too simple, so I've added special characters and punctuation, except that those punctuation characters turn out to be illegal on this particular software application. And of course, they don't necessarily tell you the rules up front. Even more fun, how much do you love entering your password and then being told that you have to enter another code that's been texted to your phone? Well, your phone's in the other room and you forgot to charge it. No, right? How annoying. How stupid, except not really. There are reasons for these things. You know, just over the summer, someone published a 100 gigabyte text file you can download that includes 8.4 million passwords stolen from various data breaches, just out there, freely available. Probably includes some of your old passwords. Probably includes some of my old passwords. Out there right now, some automated bot is trying those passwords on every account with some variation on your name or your email address, trying to break in. A study of the dark web, which is the black market of the internet, found that there are more than 15 billion stolen account credentials available for sale. You know, a good verified account login will go for maybe 16 bucks, or it might go for as much as 70 bucks if it's for a bank or a financial services account. Actually, it might go up from there. It might be a few $100s if it's a nice, juicy, fresh password for somebody who seems to have a lot of money in the bank. They may not have a lot of money in the bank for long. You know, you can save the crooks some money. All you have to do is use the same password for your bank account that you use for your email and your social media accounts and your other accounts. So that any of one of those gets breached, they all get breached. Everything's open there. You can save them even more password. They don't even have to buy anything off the dark web. You can make your password easy to guess. If your password includes any word in the dictionary, if it includes your birthday or your kid's birthday or the name of your dog or any information that could be found out from you on a public database or on social media, you're making it easier for them. And it's not that, you know, we have this image of this guy in a hoodie sitting in front of the computer, typing in passwords one at a time. No. They write automated scripts that try them one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. They just badger you. It's called a brute force attack. Now, hopefully your bank has measures in place to detect and shut down brute force attacks. But remember what I said about using the password multiple places, which a lot of people do because they can't remember all their passwords, and who can blame them, except that if one of those other accounts is not so well defended, and somebody breaks into one of those other accounts and establishes that that's a live password for you, well, you can turn around and they're going to try it on your bank. Now, I would probably assume all my friends from Toastmasters would be too smart to make any of these mistakes, except that I have worked with some Toastmasters. I've worked with some Toastmasters on their websites for Toastmasters clubs or their pro speakers site, and they will send me their email, their passwords. They'll put them in an email to me. Now, I don't ask them to send me their password by email. They just do it before I can tell them that that's a bad idea. Because email is not secure, at least not by default. And so a password that you put in email could be intercepted and potentially used to hack into your account. It's one of the ways that people can break in. Or if somebody breaks into your email account, they can sort through your old messages and find passwords that you've emailed around. This is also a bad thing. But so in the process of telling people that they shouldn't do that, I'll find out what their password is. And often it's something like name of the club and 123. Or it might be their business, name of their business and ABC. Now you might think, well, it's just my Toastmasters Club website password. Nobody's going to hack in and sign up for roles. Well, you're probably right about that. But again, is that password the same one that you've used for a bank account? You know, I have had people send me passwords that are just about that simple, that are linked to an online payment account, which in turn is linked to their bank account. This is what we call, and this is a technical term, a bad idea. Now, I do understand, I do sympathize with not having the memory to deal with all these complex passwords, to dream up what these complex passwords are and keep track of them. Now, I use what's called a password manager. So that is a program that generates tough passwords and it keeps track of all my passwords for my other programs. Okay, so we've just moved the problem. How do I get into the password manager? I use a password. Of course, I try and make that a reasonably hard password. It has to be one that I can remember. So it's going to make up really complicated ones that I would never be able to remember, but I have to remember that password, and then I can use the two-factor authentication. That's where you have the app on your phone that you also have to verify to this thing that I am who I say I am. And so that makes it a little bit better. Now, of course, I use LastPass, password manager. What happens if LastPass gets hacked? Well, then I'm in trouble. But at least I have one place to go to try and solve that problem. It's instead of don't put all your eggs in one basket, this is the put all your eggs in one basket and then watch that basket approach. And the truth is that as much as I hate passwords, I'm also terrified of giving them up. Because what if I switch to face recognition and I'm in an accident that rearranges my face, or my fingers get chopped off and my fingertip recognition doesn't work anymore. So for a while, these things still have a job to do, typing in passwords. But I try to be careful with them, and you should too. Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, thank you very much. Timer, please put the times in the chat. And we'll go into table topics as Rick, our timer, gets that done. The floor is yours, Kim. We can do about 3. Although we're behind, just go ahead.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day, Lucas, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. As Lucas mentioned, we are now navigating to the impromptu portion of the meeting, table topics. As you know, today's theme is where are you from? I will ask the question. Sorry, I'm trying to shorten this up. And when called upon, please let us know where you're from and then answer the question or respond to this scenario. You each have 1 to 2 minutes. Where you're from can be either where you were born, where you live now, or actually where you like to live. So the first table topic is aliens have just landed on Earth. They are looking for a city to locate their embassy. Please present a pitch to the aliens to build their embassy in the city you are from. Toastmaster Andrei Smolenko.
Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master. I'm Andrei Smolenko, Ukrainian by birth. I've been living in Manchester, UK for the last 15 years. If I were to approach careful negotiations with aliens, the one city on earth I would not recommend to set up the embassy on, and that would be Manchester. I would use a careful, really carefully structured approach, because indeed, who doesn't want an alien embassy in their own city? Everybody would go for it. Everybody would fight. Everyone would try to put their best proposals forward. However, being a real Mancunian, I would move from the back side, from the back room, say, my city, for you aliens, no. And recently speaking to my 9-year-old son, who is in love with aliens, aliens and monsters, aliens and soldiers, and I've been playing with him, and I've been carefully watching, especially for this kind of question. Well, aliens wouldn't want to go for the simple thing. They would probably think it's a trap. Yes, exactly. They don't want to get inside a trap. What they need, an honest answer. Don't come here, and they will. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Andre. For the second table topic, it's an Olympic year. Many of the Olympic teams are looking for cities to temporarily live and to practice their sport for a few months. Please let us know which Olympic team and which sport should come to your city to practice and what your city has to offer for this sport and the Olympians. Toastmaster Nick Lacaney.
What cities for the Olympics? Well, there's Athens, there's Sydney, Atlanta. All of these cities have already been used, haven't they? So let's go for some new cities. How about Carson City? How about Vatican City? Somehow I think the logistics may not work. We have to think outside the box. We have to go and look at the bigger picture. That's right. Let's go to those aliens that Andre was mentioning. Let's go to where they hang out. I'm sure they have the space. We can rebuild them. We can build the cities. We can have virtual cities out in outer space. Or we can have virtual cities where the athletes are in their own room, connecting via Zoom, and they can be displayed on the running track or on the in the stadiums. Wouldn't that be fun? We've lived it, haven't we, for 18 months? Why not them? One of the key things about the city is, though, you've got to look after the people who live there, not just the ones who are coming for 2 weeks. Look after the people. I love the idea of Carson City, though. Let's go, but leave your six shooters at home. Back to you, Madam Topic Master.
Thank you, Nick. Next table topic, a young couple.
We have to move on.
Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, timer, please put the times in the chat. Vote counter, please put the voting link in the chat as well. Evaluator 1, the floor is yours to give your evaluation for Pamela's speech.
Well, good evening, everyone. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep this nice and short because there's really not that much to talk about either with Pamela. Just a few points. First of all, I want to commend you for you're very understandable, very easy to follow. It's great how you do that. But a few things that I thought might help just a little bit. First of all, you have a phrase that you used a lot. So I thought about this, and I thought and thought and thought. And you use several variations on it throughout. Really not necessary. It's almost a filler phrase. I would recommend just getting to the point. We know you think about these things, so don't worry too much about telling us that you did. Also, a little more energy in your delivery. There was almost like you were very tired, or you weren't particularly interested in what you were saying. And I began picking up on that. So just your vocal variety is fine, no problem there. It's just really an internal get up for it, just like you get up for a triathlon. And finally, towards the end where you began outlining your path forward, some visuals to help us on that, so that we can see your path going forward might help. But I think you're on a good path, actually. And I think you're right. I think the temperature has a lot to do with why people did not show up. So keep pushing at it, and I'm sure you're going to be very successful with your exercise network. And back to you.
Thank you. Evaluator number 2, please go ahead and give your evaluation for Tricia Smith.
Hello, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, especially Tricia. It's a great speech. Before we started, Tricia asked me to pay attention on her eye contact, pacing, and timing. I would say she did an excellent job in all that 3 aspects, and her eye contact are very focused most of the time on the camera, and her pacing is great and timing is perfect too. What I like most about Tricia's speech is, first is her structure. She started with a quote and then talk about the importance of mentoring in Toastmaster and in other aspects of life. And then she gave us the experience of her serving as a protege. And comes later with a conclusion. What I want to challenge Tricia is that in her conclusion, she talked about, I talked about this, I talked about that. I would say probably in the conclusion, if you give us some lessons you learned, it's better, other than you summarize what you have talked about. That's first. And second, I think for Tricia talk about several of her experience in different club or different settings of her as a protege. I would say she may need to focus on 1 or 2 experience and put some detail in it and do some in-depth analysis. But overall, it's a great speech, and she speaks very enthusiastically, and her voice is very magnetic. And I look forward for the next speech. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Evaluator 3, the floor is yours for your evaluation for David Carr.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and especially David. Wonderful speech on a topic that is pertinent to all of us. You started with an engaging question: how much do you hate passwords? You gave us a list of annoying facts about password, and then you said, how annoying? Not really. And that's when you drew us in. You explained the importance of strong passwords. You used some scare tactics as you gave stats on the dark web and how personal info is for sale, and that they go after people with money in the bank, and that money wouldn't be there for long if you didn't have a strong password. This topic could be a little dry, but you used humor. I would assume that Toastmasters would be careful because no one's going to hack in to sign up for roles. Technical term, bad idea. Face recognition, and you talked about cutting off your fingers. Holy crow. But David, you prepared at the last minute and you told me that, but it did not show. You were talking about something that's in your wheelhouse and you were comfortable and relaxed for this presentation. My only suggestion would be that you recommend with more specificity how to create better passwords and how often to change them. Excellent speech with information that we can all use. Thank you, David Carr. Back to you, Lucas.
All right, thank you very much. Timer, please put the times in the chat. Vote counter, please post the voting link once you see who has qualified. Okay, what I'm going to do now is go to evaluation report, functional reports rather. Our chat monitor, Jim, and keep reports to 30 seconds if possible, to a minute.
I will absolutely do that, Mr. General Evaluator. The chat supported the logistics this evening, but there weren't anything I would say that anybody needs to keep track of. If you think that you might, please remember that you can record your chat. You can save the chat simply by going to the chat room and clicking on Save Chat. I would urge anyone to do that. Back to you.
Thank you very much. And just to clarify on the evaluator times, Rick, who qualified and who did not?
Based on a 2 to 3 minute evaluation, only Lee Sing has qualified.
Okay, so if you, by default, then Lee Sing would be the winner for best evaluator. Let's have our watcher, Angela, please unmute.
I was watching you guys, and I have a couple suggestions very quickly. Carolina, elevate your body a little bit. Your chin is right on top of your name. We're in gallery view. Much better, much better. Tricia, when you speak, you have a tendency to lift your chin up very high. I want you to bring that down to a regular level. And Marianne, a few times I saw the top of your head. So I assumed that something was going on that you needed to attend to. All of us need to pay attention to that. I saw quite a few of us, I think, checking our phones, including me. That's why I went off camera. The two people that I want to get special recognition to is Kim and Hector. Excellent backgrounds, right with the theme, and also Berlin. Just a beautiful background. Thank you so much.
Okay,
back to you.
Thank you, Angela. Let's hear from our grammarian, 30 seconds to a minute report, please. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Excellent verbal jewels I heard today were proteges, leaders, socializers, speakers, shares experiences, juicy, fresh password. Never thought of it that way before. Guy in a hoodie is a very compelling visual. Pertinent questions. Protege is my favorite word tonight. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from our counter, Marty. What do you have for us?
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I'm not at all sure that I got this right because as I look at the totals, I don't believe it. I think I heard 13 ahs, ums, etc. Let's see, it says that I caught Pamela in 4 things. I don't believe it. I think I must have messed up. David, you had 1 and 2 things that I thought were maybe ahs. Andre, I think you got 1 thing that I thought was an ah, and Nick, a couple. Carl, I came up with 2, I don't know what to call them. I said errors, but I don't know if that's right. And a couple of repeats, and several of us, which I didn't record, did seem to have just a little too short an interval between things that they said. Anyway, what I came up with finally was a total of 13 things. And I'd say that's amazing for a group this size in this long a period. Only 13, you name it.
Thank you, Marty.
Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right, now I'd like to call our vote counter. If you could read off the winners for tonight.
Mr. Toastmaster, the winners for tonight. Our speaker is David Carr. Our table topic is Andre, and our evaluator, Lassine.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to hand it over to our general evaluator, Carolina Ramirez, just to give an evaluation of the meeting. I think we can afford 2 minutes for the evaluation.
I'll be very brief. I really like the treasury report and the voting process that shows the good health of this club. Lucas, even though you didn't have the time you were supposed to have, you did a great job. That's all about to be a Toastmaster. You are an advanced Toastmaster in time management. Congrats for that. And back to you, just in time.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to our presiding officer, VP Education, Andrew Byrne. If it is, in fact, supposed to go to you, let me know.
Well, I'm going to give back to the club those 2 minutes for the educational moment. Other than what I said earlier, we're looking to help people get assigned mentors or proteges. We need your help in doing that. We also want you to be aware of the opportunities that the club provides. And anyone would like to speak to me afterwards. We want to recognize some of our guests and just hear 30 seconds or less from each of our guests, and then we're going to go into our after session. And about 10 minutes into the after session, we're going to need to do, unfortunately, Andre, going over the roles for the following week because there are too many open roles to not address it. Okay, so the first guest that we have, and I'm looking on my board here, is Evelyn Young. Could you tell us what you gained from this meeting? What was the thing that you took away?
Hi, everybody. I found the prepared speeches, the 3 prepared speeches, very insightful and very helpful, especially the last one about how much you hate password, because I hate password too. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to you coming again next week and becoming a member of our club. Be a great addition. The next guest I see is Evie. Can you tell us about what your experiences were for this meeting?
Hi there. Well, I'm very excited to visit my first club that is committed to continually being an online club. That's really important to me, and I'm so happy to have found it. And I really liked actually the beginning section of the meeting. Let's see, I don't know what you call it. But when let me see if I can find it. When Pamela was talking about the line items and everything like that, and the part where you're talking about having tools, online presentation tools for the club to be able to use, I think that's amazing. I think it's a wonderful thing that this club is a place where that's something that you prioritize, because that's something I've kind of been actively looking for. I look forward to more. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful seeing you here. We look forward to seeing you next week. The next person I see on my list as a guest is, that's it for guests today. So we look forward to each of you coming back. You will be in touch by our educational vice president as well as others. And if you have any questions, you can reach out and we'd be happy to answer all of your questions and join the merry band known as online presenters. That now takes us to 8:58. Does anybody else want to share something with our 2 guests?
I'd like to say something, please, Andy.
Yes, Nick, go right ahead.
To our guests, just come along, have some fun, join the club, and jump in with both feet. Just do it. Just get on with it. Because in this club, don't wait around. Just carry on, and then when you need help, just ask. This is a wonderful club and very supportive, but it is an advanced club. And if you need help, ask. Back to you, Andy. Thank you.
Most
And you
welcome.
can get special discounts. You can get special discount for joining and paying your membership fee 1 year in advance. So why not?
Well, Evelyn has, this is her second meeting, so I think she's ready to pull the trigger now. And Evie is her first meeting, so we are very excited to have both of them with us.
I just want to say I'm the newest member and it's super fun. Do it. It's very, I love this club.
I just want to say, I've never gotten a shout out for saying line item. So line item, line item, line item. I'm a finance girl and it makes my heart sing. Next time I'll give another speech on derivatives and we can get really, really, really happy.
Oh my God.
As the stock market went down 900 points today, then came back 650. So we had
Volatility.
You're so funny, Pamela.
I know I'm a hoot. You should get to know me more.
Okay, it is now 9 o'clock. We're going to go and make a transition. For Angela, you can turn the recording off and we'll do 10 minutes.